Very, very excited to see what card I'm going to get with my new rune deck. Um, I'm waiting for the page to redirect me back. Hold on, guys. So very, very excited to set up on my end. Okay, I'm back. I love watching like webinars or whatever where people have help doing stuff. This is not complicated. Like I can handle this, but I do feel like, wow, I wonder what it's like if someone's got someone doing this. Okay, so welcome, guys. I'm Elizabeth with Willow Tarot, and today we are going to be reading from the book. Reading from the book. That little thing or big thing that comes with the deck of cards that you buy. It is a great resource, one that I go to daily. I read from the book because it's a resource. It's a tool. So I read from the book. It's helpful. So I read from the book. I've actually heard readers who throw away the book, which I'm thinking, I just hope they actually mean they're donating it to Goodwill or giving it to a friend. But the book is a good thing. So that's what we'll be doing today. The deck that I will be reading from the book from is Animal Guide Rune Cards. Super excited. David Lipka, please, if it's not the correct pronunciation. David Lipka and Bartosz Mazik. And it says set out on a magical adventure, weaving the wild and wise energy of animal guides with the ancient archetypal alphabet of runes. And these are the Elder Futhark runes that they'll be talking about. So let's go ahead and start shuffling and see what we get. There are 24 Elder Futhark runes. Later years brought 16 younger Futhark runes. They edited down. I don't know. Like younger Futhark, I've never even really looked at. I don't know of the Anglo-Saxon runes if I could identify them. But I could identify and read the Elder Futhark runes. All right, you can create your own runes. All right, so let's see what we have. I don't think, like, sometimes I'll get it, but sometimes it'll be like, oh, what rune? Okay, I keep seeing Fehu, but I think that's what we actually pulled from we pulled that yesterday, and that was the first time pulling from the deck. It's also the first rune, which is, I think, significant. All right, let's see. I'm waiting for a sensation that I get in my hands. It doesn't always come, so, but I like to give it a chance to. These are some sticky ass cards. So, I'm going to take just another moment because I feel it's important to. And I'm going to do a shuffle because they're sticky. Not like syrup sticky or someone was eating caramel and was playing with the cards. Like they just have a natural friction built up or something. Whatever the texture on the card, maybe. I keep getting weird on the top, WYRD. Okay, one last shuffle. Oh, here we go. I got a little something in my hand, so we're good to go. Shuffling is shuffling. It might take you 10 seconds. It might take you 10 minutes. And it's probably going to evolve over time. But we have Ingwaz. The accent is always on the first syllable with the Elder Futhark runes. Ingwaz is seed, literally translates, and we have rest, comfort, and tranquility. That's an interesting way to think of that. Seed is life, but it's life like kind of like you don't see the oak tree as a seed, you see it as a tree. We can only presume to know what's inside a human womb, even though we see that it's grown. So there's something in there, but we don't know what. So Ingwaz is the seed or potential for virtually anything. So what are we coupling this rune with? What's the story behind the question? What did the person want to know? A lot of it's going to come together. So let's go to Ingwaz. It's super cute too. It's like a mouse. I'm going to say a field mouse because we do have wheat with it. Oh, and then we see the rune itself on a walnut shell. So if you already had a walnut in a shell and you put Ingwaz on it, the rune itself, but that's what you eat. That's not, you can't plant a walnut, can you? And is that a seed? Can you plant a walnut and it makes a walnut tree? Like, no shit. Is that what that's saying? Because they've literally put the rune on the walnut shell. There's significance there because the runes are actually magic. Believe what you want. The runes are magic. So you're spreading this magic. So what are you trying to say by putting it on the walnut shell? Okay, let's look at what we have. Let's go to card rune 22. So this again is an Elder Futhark rune, which I believe the readings today are all going to be Elder Futhark centered, which is exciting because it's uncommon and I love the runes, and I've never been to an Elder Futhark meeting. I think I'd have to host it to have one. Maybe I should. Ingwaz. Yesterday was the first time I read with this book. It gives a lot of information. Ingwaz, rest, comfort, and tranquility. How good is it to sleep in the shell of a nut? The seed is dozing, curled up in the warm darkness. It dreams of the day when it will break the hard shell and become a tree, but not yet. Just 5 more minutes. Wait, so, okay, I just learned something. That walnut that I eat, that's the actual seed of the tree. That's bizarre. I did not know that. So we eat the seeds too. So if you were to put Ingwaz rune on the walnut, not the walnut shell, and eat the seed or the walnut, you're eating the magic of that rune, of the meaning behind the rune. All right. The lore. Do you like autumn? The days are getting shorter and shorter, and the evening chill penetrates the bones. In autumn, nothing is more enjoyable than coming home at the end of the day, when you can finally wrap yourself in a blanket and sit with a cup of steaming tea, listening to the rain pounding on the windows. Danes call such a state Higa, describing the coziness, comfort, and safety of our own warm den, full of supplies for the winter. Higa, apologies on pronunciation. Higa has become an extremely popular life philosophy in Scandinavian countries and beyond, also influencing aesthetics, especially in terms of interior design. The Higa lifestyle has been criticized as an apotheosis. I'm not saying that right. Apotheosis. Sorry, guys. I'm blank on that one. Of mediocrity, laziness, which is known as one of the 7 deadly sins, and settling for small achievements. In the era of the all-consuming rat race and the push for success, it is worth considering whether a happy life really consists of getting to the top of the $8,000 mountain peaks and signing international contracts on a daily basis. Our life involves primarily what is ordinary and everyday. Will a hero, attracting crowds with great deeds, be happy if they do not find pleasure in drinking coffee from their favorite mug? We like to hear about the heroes. However, the stories tend to stop when the heroic ends and the human begins. Myths or literature rarely show that sometimes even a brave demigod has a stomachache, or, unthinkable, they need to go to the bushes in order to relieve themselves. In the epics, there are many heroes, but only the bravest ones finally manage to return to the safe haven of their homes. It took Odysseus 10 years to do so. A true hero is not the one who burns themselves out in the heat of battle, but the one who remembers the warmth of the hurt and returns to normal life. We should not only admire those who, like the aforementioned Odysseus, win wars, but above all, those who clean up after themselves and build anew, despite everything that has happened to them. Such a figure is Ing, a mysterious god sometimes associated with the Germanic Freyr, the lord of peace, pleasure, and abundance. According to legends, he had to sail the seas for a long time, and finally settled in Sweden, becoming the progenitor of the royal family and the founder of the Temple of Uppsala. This is how the Anglo-Saxon rune poem recalls him. Ing was the first among the East Danes, beheld by men, until afterwards to the east. He went over the waves, his chariot ran after, then the warriors named the hero thusly. So Ing for Ingwaz, Ing is the god that Ingwaz the rune is named after. However, there is no reflection here on the fact that it is difficult to expect success in sea conquests when the hero does not also value a warm, safe port at the end of the journey. Oh my God, that makes so much sense. Like, what are you fighting for? Are you fighting to die or are you fighting to return home? And who would you rather fight under? Someone who's fighting to simply die or fighting to return home? Hmm. The shape of Ingwas, which looks like two X's, and they meet. Two X's, they sit right on top of each other, is reminiscent of some securely enclosed space. It could be a grain-filled granary full of supplies for the winter. It could be the belly of a pregnant person that protects the baby so that they can mature in peace before being confronted by the outside world. Each seed is a separate microcosm in which the future of the plant is stored. At this point, it is still asleep, gathering strength to grow. But soon a small walnut will become a seedling, and finally a mighty tree. It just needs a little time. But where did the mouse come from in this rune card's artwork? And there's a little mouse on the card. I'm loving this, man. I just love this guy. But where did the mouse come from in this rune card's artwork? If you think about it, there are many dangers in the life of this little creature. Stray cats, birds of prey, hungry foxes, and even humans desperately trying to exterminate the pest. All of this can be its undoing. Therefore, mice have become masters of finding shelter. They hide in tiny nests tucked into the narrowest crevices, full of supplies and warmth. Perhaps under the staves of your floor, their secret life is going on, about which you do not even know. Before you start setting traps, think about the wisdom they bring you. Without time to relax and unwind, it would be impossible to achieve great things. So let your ideas germinate in the warmth for a while before you jump energetically to put them into practice. Who knows? Maybe by then the mice will find a new hiding place. The message of this card. Ingwas is all about the rest that everyone deserves, especially after a period of excessive effort. But what if the time we spend on relaxation is indefinitely extended? Or if the long repose is not a reward for the work done previously? Then it can turn into procrastination. If this rune is speaking of a person. Speaking of a person, Ingwas points to those who are gathering strength, relaxing, and resting. People with the temperament of this rune are economical in movements, restrained in action, and usually implement a minimum plan rather than large undertakings, like a bear hibernating in the winter, or soldiers before battle. This is not due to a lack of ambition, but a natural tendency towards energy saving. After all, some things are not always worth the effort. Very few things are worth the effort. Place. The places indicated by Ingwas are hidden inside a house, room, container. For example, wardrobes and boxes. Often it is a space where we gather strength, like one owns bed, food, the pantry, and winter supplies, the cellar. So Ingwas can also be a place. It can also be a hothouse, a greenhouse, somewhere you can grow, especially if you're growing, forced growing, like you're growing palms up in the northern Maine area, of the United States. It'd be difficult to grow palm trees and I say that. It's not. Okay, it's interesting. I'm learning this as we do this. So time, oh God, time, and we're actually looking at seed. In terms of time, it is associated with rest, interruption, and peace. Rest, interruption, and peace. Much like bears hibernating, because they don't sleep all winter. There are moments of activity, they're just not heavily active. Ingwas is the rune of the weekend, winter break, after dinner siesta, or a nap. The time in which we pause the constant pursuit in everyday life. So Ingwas can also be forced, as in pregnancy. The embryo that moves to the stage of fetus does not have a choice. It's forced into that growth, but it's also a hermit-like growth, Ingwas. So there's also forced Ingwas. So it can be consensual or forced, conscious or unconscious. In relationships. In the context of a relationship, Ingwas is a quiet, non-engaging meeting with someone nice, where you can relax, drink a cup of coffee, and eat cake leisurely, talking about pleasant vacation plans or ideas for dinner. Oh my God, I want to totally have this conversation and drink good tea and stuff. That sounds so fun. Talking about where I'm going to go on vacay. So Ingwas is also making plans. We can make plans that bring joy to our eyes or tears. We're planning the funeral. Ingwas. All right. Concerning the date, it announces watching Netflix together on the couch rather than a crazy party or a motocross rally. So it's also slightly more tame activities. With regard to long-term relationships, it will show partners who are calm, able to rest together and relax in each other's company. Okay, so in-laws is also, it's not just about one person like tarot, it's about the couple. It's about the relationship, not those involved in the relationship. That is a really good way to read the situation, not the person, even if there's a person sitting there. That is so much better. Okay. These people will be able to synchronize their daily schedules so as not to cause unnecessary tensions, and they will easily come to a compromise. However, they may become so comfortable in the present situation that they start to procrastinate together and put off socializing until an indefinite later. So procrastination, it looks like it's a shadow state to Ingwas. Okay. Reversed Ingwas is a relationship with too little going on. Routine, lack of energy, and boredom might creep into such relationships, which may cause one of the parties to lose interest and feel the desire to change. If not habits, then the partner. So I've seen. So if one of you likes to go out, even if it's just to the grocery store, go with them. It's their way of spending time with you, as long, and they're also filling the pantry. So I don't know. All right, career. If professional life is depicted by Ingwas, it means that the querent has an undemanding job where little is going on. If they already have a job, they can perform their duties in peace without fear of unexpected turns and additional urgent tasks to be performed. Their earnings should allow them to accumulate some savings, and their superiors will not get in their way. In the reversed position, this rune draws attention to a stagnation in career and professional development. This is in reverse. It will point out positions with no promotion opportunities, where work becomes tiring and boring. Often, it shows a vacation. Maybe it's time to get some rest. For health, this is almost it. This is I know this is a lot, but this is really remarkable, the amount of information on the single rooms. Health. Showing up in a spread for health. Ingwas speaks of well-being and gaining strength. Great. It is a rune of accumulation and the enlargement of energy, which in the human body often heralds gaining mass, and therefore, for example, obesity or pregnancy. I like how they pair that. Obesity or pregnancy. Appearing reversed, it announces the need to rest and regain strength. It can be, therefore, a warning against all kinds of mishaps that may deprive us of fitness, after which we will face a recovery. Oh, that is insane. So Ingwas is that forced. Ingwas would be like, you break your leg, so you can't walk on your treadmill. You can't exercise. You're forced into that hermit state. But you're growing your bones back together. You're forced into a growth state. And it is one that you do not control because your body is doing it. I don't want to say it like that because you are connected to your body. But your body, this thing right here, is doing that. Okay. Correspondences. Oh, nope. We've got magical use. This is phenomenal. Magical use. All the runes have magic, each one. As Ingwas has the power to accumulate and store, this symbol is used in all kinds of spells that need to be energized. Written in a bind rune or script, it will enhance their strength. It will also work well as an element of dream amulets or other traps for low energy or unwanted entities, because Ingwas locks them inside. constituting a kind of box or prison. Meditation with this rune will help to relax and calm people who deal with too much emotion. Displayed at home, in-laws will make it a pleasant refuge for cloudy days. And I do want to say, if I'm very uncomfortable thinking about locking anything in a box, so I would, for my own purpose, I would just reimagine it to be something a little bit nicer. So these are just guidelines. All right, correspondences. We've got a page and a half, and it's 3. The key word for this rune is rest. Card iconography: walnut, mouse, gray, white. Everything on this card: walnut, mouse, gray, white. People: someone well rested, relaxed, calm, quiet, restrained, reserved in movements and expression, sometimes lazy, who likes to sleep. A person who follows a minimum plan on vacation, one that does not have to work, gathering strength and save. So, kind of summing up, the location: resort, facility with spa and medical services, because you don't need to leave the facility to have all of your needs met, in-laws. The seed does not leave the ground to have its needs met, in-laws. Okay. Bedroom: own bed, deck chair, chaise, lounge, inside a box, chest, in a wardrobe, granary, storage room, fridge, supply cabinet, gathering place, inside, in the back. Those are all in-laws. In the background isn't even physical. It can be a thought in the background. That is in-laws. All of it is in-laws. Time: siesta, holidays, vacation, weekend, late afternoon, because we're moving into the evening where humans typically rest. Time of relaxation and gaining strength. Business break, off season, tranquility and pause. Activities: to collect. So we did talk about how we're collecting, but I wonder if we can go into hoarding on this one. To collect, stockpile, save, rest, relax, regain strength, have treatments like massage or rehabilitation, procrastinate, multiply, re-energize, enhance the action, grow, loosen, and swell. For the health, keywords: well-being, sense of power, weight gain, obesity, pregnancy. In reverse, for health, the need to rest, to be housebound, bedridden, and convalescence. Corresponds to temperance in tarot, Libra and Taurus in astrology, the root and sacral chakras. And to finish, the deities are Ingvi, Pax, Irene, Tolerette, Asclepius, Hygeia, and Salus. Maybe got 2 of those right. How long was I reading for? I can't even. Okay, so that is from Animal Guide Rune Cards. And I recognize it's a long reading. If you're looking for a rune deck, having only pulled 2 cards, I suggest it. It's good. I don't even know what all the cards are yet, and I like this. And I have a few rune decks, and I purposely avoid the ones that are really brutal or violent in nature, because I just don't appreciate them. So this one I think must be new because it just came up on my radar. So Animal Guide Rune Cards, thank you guys for sitting with me and your patience in that. And I hope that this, if you are already studying runes, reach out. And if you'd like to learn about them, reach out. And I hope that you're curious about them. Okay, so I'm going to throw it over to LB. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Hey, so I'm also going to be reading from my rune deck, and the first card is, by the way, this is from the Rune Cards by Ralph Plume, and it says, separation, retreat, inheritance, Othila, past divide, old skins are shed. How skillful the means that free you to become more truly who you are. This is a time of separating paths. Old skins must be shed, outmoded relationships discarded. When you receive this rune, a peeling away is called for, part of the cycle of initiation. Separation is a rune of radical severance. The appropriate action here is submission and quite possibly retreat. Knowing how and when to retreat and possessing the firmness of will to carry it out. Real property is associated with Othila, for it is the rune of acquisition and benefits. However, the benefits you receive, the inheritance, may be derived from something you must give up. Such a surrender can be particularly demanding when what you are called upon to relinquish is an aspect of your behavior or some part of your cultural inheritance. For then you must look closely at what until now you have proudly claimed as your birthright. Whether it is your attachment to your position in society, to the work you do, or even to your beliefs about your own nature. The separation called for will. Wait, the separation called for will free you to become more truly who you are. If this was reversed, it would say this is not the time to be bound by old conditioning, old authority. Consider both what will benefit you, also what will benefit others, and act according to the light you possess now in your life, because you may be called upon to undertake a radical departure from old ways. Total honesty is required. Otherwise, through negligence or refusal to see clearly, you may cause pain to others and damage to yourself. Adaptability and skillful means are the qualities to cultivate at this time, and still you must wait for the universe to act. Receiving this rune, remember, we do without doing, everything gets done. Okay, so this next card is Journey, Communication, Union, Reunion. I think it's called Rado. The path grows steeper now. The clouds lie far below. I climb no longer alone and yet no longer burdened by what was left behind. My heart is filled with gratitude. This rune is concerned with communication, with the attunement of something that has two sides, two elements, and with the ultimate union that comes at the end of the journey, when what is above and what is below are united and of one mind. Inner worth mounts here, and at such a time you are not intended to rely entirely upon your own power. Instead, ask what constitutes right action in this situation. Ask through prayer or meditation, through addressing the witness self and the teacher within. Not intent on movement, be content to wait. While you wait, keep on removing resistances. As the obstruction give way, all remorse arising from trying to make it happen disappears. The journey is towards self-healing, self-change, and union. You are concerned here with nothing less than unobstructed, perfect union. And yet the union of heaven and earth cannot be forced. Regulate any excesses in your life. Material advantages must not weigh heavily on this journey of the self toward the self. Stand apart even from like-minded others. This part of the journey, the soul's journey, cannot be shared. Another of the cycle runes, Rado, carries within its form the element of joy, for now the end is in sight. You are no longer burdened by what you've left behind. Heaven above you and earth below you unite within you to support you on your way. A simple prayer for this soul's journey is, I will to will thy will. The reverse meaning of this card is, receiving journey reverse, you are asked to be particularly attentive to personal relationships at this time, as this may require to keep your good humor. Whatever happens, how you respond is up to you. The requirements of your process may totally disrupt what you had intended. Desired outcomes may elude you, and yet what you regard as detours, inconveniences, disruptions, blockages, and even failures and deaths will actually be rerouting opportunities with union and reunion as the only abiding destination. All right, the next card is Gateway, place of non-action, the god Thor. Be a lover of gateways, approach them softly, for once you pass through, there will be changes and much that you will gladly lay aside. With a gateway for its symbol, this rune indicates that there is work to be done both inside and outside yourself. Gateway represents the frontier between heaven and the mundane. Arriving here is a recognition of your readiness to contact the numinous, the divine, to eliminate your experience so that its meaning shines through its form. The Rizas is a rune of non-action, thus the gateway is not to be approached and passed through without contemplation. Here you are being presented with a true reflection of what is hidden inside and hidden in yourself or in your situation, what must be exposed and examined before right action can be undertaken. This rune strengthens your ability to wait. Now is not a time to make decisions. deep transformational forces at work in this next to last of the cycle runes. Visualize yourself standing before a gateway on a hilltop. Your entire life lies out behind you and below. Before you step through the gateway, pause and review the past, the learning and the joys, the victories and the sorrows, everything it took to bring you here. Observe it all, bless it all, release it all. For it is in the very act of releasing the past that you reclaim your power. Step through the gateway now. The reverse meaning of this is a quickening of your development is indicated here, and yet, even when the growth process accelerates, you will have reason to halt along the way to reconsider the old, to integrate the new. Take advantage of these halts. If you are undergoing difficulties, remember the nature of your passage depends upon the quality of your attitude, the clarity of your intention, and the steadfastness of your will. Be certain that you are not suffering over your suffering. Drawing the resas, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, reverse demands contemplation on your part. Hasty decisions at this time may cause regrets, for the likelihood is that you will act from weakness, deceive yourself about your motives, and create new problems more severe than those who are attempting to resolve. Impulses must be tempered by thought for correct procedure. Do not attempt to go beyond where you haven't yet begun. Be still, collect yourself, and wait on the will of heaven. Okay, the next card from this deck is Standstill. That which impedes ice. Isa. Praise winter, gather snowdrops, listen for your name on the chill wind, and bless the seeds waiting in darkness for the call of spring. The winter of the spiritual life is upon you. You may find yourself entangled in a situation to whose implications you are, in effect, blind. You may be powerless to do anything except submit, surrender, even sacrifice some long cherished desire. Be patient, for this is the period of gestation that precedes rebirth. Positive accomplishment is unlikely now. There's a freeze on useful activity. All your plans are on hold. You may be experiencing an unaccustomed drain on your energy and wonder why. A chill wind is reaching you over the ice floes of old, outmoded habits. Holding on can result in shallowness of feeling, a sense of being out of touch with life, seeking to discover what it is you are holding on to that perpetuates this condition and let it go. Shed, release, cleanse away the old. Doing so will bring on the thaw. Usually, Isa requires a sacrifice of the personal. At such a time, you cannot hope to rely on help or friendly support. There is, however, no reason for anxiety. Submit and be still, for what you are experiencing is not necessarily the result of your actions, but even your habits, but rather arises from conditions about which you can do nothing. What has been full must empty, what has increased must decrease. This is the way of heaven and earth. To surrender is to display courage and wisdom, and yet there is another face to stand still. Just as winter is a time for going within, drawing Isa can introduce a period of restoration and renewal. At the deepest level, in your solitude, remain mindful that the seed of the new is present in the shell of the old. The seed is unrealized potential, the seed of the good. Trust your own process and watch for signs of spring. I can't tell how much time I have left, Elizabeth. How much is left on the timer? Sorry.
Oh, I didn't start it. It's 8:46. You're welcome to keep going.
Okay. Well, that was the rune deck by Bloom that I mentioned, but I do have another one, and I wanted to at least read one card from the other one.
Can I say something really quick about that deck?
Yeah.
One thing too. Hi, new next pod. Happy Saturday to yourself as well on the live. Also, so when you were pulling, love that deck, and I was like, oh, like Thurisaz is the actual pathway that they drew. That's the rune, right? So they put the rune like that's I. You can see the rune in the upper right. Is that algaes maybe? But with the rune deck that I just read from, doesn't actually have the rune on the card or in the guidebook, like what it looks like. Like that's Isa, stand still 23. That single stick is
Mm-hmm.
called a stave. If you were
Yeah.
writing it out, that's Isa. That's what it looks like. Boom.
Yeah. And then this is the rune. Yeah,
That's
they
it.
have.
That's Thursday. Yeah. That behind that we have it the on top of the animal's forehead, it looks kind of, I don't know what you call that. That's the rune itself, but they're not depicted in the deck that I have. And I'm like, why wouldn't they put the actual? Because if I'm learning it, I need to see it. It was weird,
Yeah.
but yeah, I love yours. But yeah, go ahead. Yes, I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I love this deck because they do hide, you said they hide the rune symbol really well. And it's just like you can see the images are not typical compared to rune decks. Like you said, they're usually Vikings or
Mhm.
scenes of like this deck is a very beautiful deck, that another rune deck called the Rune Vision, and it does have nudity, but I believe that is tastefully done.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to pull the cards that do not have nudity.
Yeah, when
um
I mentioned that about the nudity, and it's fine, and I appreciate it. Like this is totally cool. I'm talking like ridiculous, like a lot of blood and guts and nudity.
yeah, this one has a lot of beautiful nudity, but these cards don't have it. So I'm gonna read this. Let's see, you tell me when my time is up because I can't tell. And then so this first one is the thing about this is it doesn't have numbers, so you have to look for it. Okay, 15. This is August
I'll
15.
if do you want me to correct you or no? I'll
Oh, yeah, algae. Okay. No, I do appreciate the correction because I have no idea how to pronounce any of these. Okay, so let me just these cards are kind of big, so I have to like kind of like to get them in frame, I have to like kind of go back. Okay, so this first rune is depicted here is the god Himdall, which I know I'm mispronouncing all of this, but the meaning of the symbol is defense. The upper torso of the god Himdall fills the winter landscape. Himdall listens intently with an alert and watchful expression. His blowhorn is held posed near his lips in readiness to sound a warning. A warning has divinatory significance with this rune. Himdall's crescent-shaped horn is depicted against a nighttime sky, but behind his head the sky turns to day. This emphasis of day and night expresses Himdall's constant duty as the watchman and guardian of the gods. Himdall's left arm curves protectively round an elk, the animal associated with this rune. This creature, who possesses a fine spread of defensive antlers, is seen in the foreground. Protection is an element associated with algae. In the lower left corner, a spring of lime with leaves and berries is shown. The lime belongs to this rune. Above, at the right-hand corner, set against the daytime sky, the symbol of algae is represented in its color correspondence of green. And then I'll just read one more. And the last card here is Lagu. I don't know, 21. Let's see. The last card is the symbol of meaning is water, and this is the god, I think Norj. Norj is the god of the seas, and the god associated with the rune Lagu rises from the rippling water, his torso caught in a golden morning light. He gazes steadfastly toward an unseen horizon. His hair, ruffled by a sea breeze, is adorned with seashells and seaweed. He is shown traditionally in the prime of his life to indicate water as the life source. His fingers fade, changing in appearance to that of a waterfall. In his left hand, he holds an axe, an implement that symbolizes both battle and work. A spig of willow is by the god's left shoulder. The willow tree is associated with the location of water, and it is the tree that is connected with Lagu. In the ocean below, a mother seal and her pup gaze inquisitively. They are unafraid as George protects them. Above flies a seagull. Both creatures are beloved by George. Intuition and psychic ability are divinatory meanings attached to this rune. These gifts are expressed through Nora's communication with the birds and the creatures of the ocean. At the top right of his scene is the runic symbol of Lagu and its associated color of orange. This color is associated with fire, an element that Norse controlled along with the wind and the waves. And there's a little story about him. Oh, I just realized this first rune that I read, this one here, there was a whole second and third page that I just skipped over. But anyways, now that I realize that, this one does have like a divinatory section. So I'll read the divinatory significance. It says intuition, psychic ability, use your psychic insight, acquisition, a successful pursuit and birth. And it was reversed. It says work within your limitations. So this book, after it tells you the description of the image, which I only read for this card, it has a description of the image, then it has a story, which again I didn't read for this one, and then the last page has the divinatory significance and the symbols meanings, which I didn't realize before. So okay. Next time I'll make sure to flip the page. But I guess I can say just the divinatory significance of this one. It says a new position gained by effort or reward, a new job or pursuit will stimulate your intellect, a warning and protection. So yeah, that is it for me.
That was really, really cool. One way to think in the pronunciation, it's a dead language, so we're not positive on how this was said. The closest we have is modern day Icelandic, but if you put the accent on the first syllable, so Algiz, Algiz, Lagus, it doesn't really, it's okay though. Anyway, I did not know that that was associated with the willow tree, like Willow Root Tarot, my group. So, that's really cool. And water, see, like it is water. I've always associated the direct translation to lake, not water, because water can be amniotic fluid, ocean, lake, puddle, tear, piss. Lake is a lake. You know what I mean? So it's interesting that it opens it up too. Really cool. I love that you shared runes, and if we get to do this again, I would totally do just runes again because it's rare. That's so thanks for sharing runes.
No,
Um,
yeah, I love these cards. I never use them because I'm not really a runes person, but these two particular decks I think are very outstanding for different reasons. This one, because the art is just beautiful. Maybe if you stop the live stream, I'll show you a few more with the new. I just don't want to show it on live stream because, but you can see it's just like it's just very vintage, but very like it's just so much color and it's so beautiful.
yeah.
And the other one is also like it's different, like you said, like it's not people and it has like very wholesome images and the guidebook of this deck I love. This is the runes guidebook I go to if I want a runes description because I don't know if it's good, like I'm not a rune expert, but when I read the guidebook for this, I feel like the messages are resonating a lot. And this one, I just don't know the gods very well. So, and then that culture and stuff is just kind of distant for me. So I don't connect as much, but I just appreciate it for the art.
One thing with the runes, because yeah, that culture is very foreign. I try to remember how old they are. 2,000 years ago to now, and I don't have like historical accuracy, but I know they didn't have cell phones or indoor plumbing. You know what I mean? They didn't have restaurants necessarily, and wealth was considered wealth in different ways than it is now. And billion was not a number that anyone ever considered. So I try to keep that in mind when I'm reading the runes, because in large part, rune reading, any reading, is about the reader being able to make the message contemporary for the querent. If I'm reading a set of cards that are over 2,000 years old in meaning, it is my responsibility to make sure that the meaning is still somehow relevant 2,000 years later today. It's a huge skill for readers. That's why some are pretty fucking good and some suck. But it also takes time to do that. So however you view the rune, like how I say in tarot, it's correct. It is correct. But as a rune reader, how are you making sense of it? I'm not going to tell you ever that you're wrong because it's first of all, it's not my fucking place. And I don't know that you're wrong or right. It's your opinion. But can you back it up? That's the biggest thing. Use your imagination. Say whatever the fuck you want about it. Just you're learning as you do this. And if someone corrects you or tells you you're wrong or completely agrees with you, you're still learning. And that's the point for me. I'm learning. Everything else is exterior. Um, yeah, so those were really cool decks too. I know very little about the gods themselves, but a very interesting book to read is by, so he was recently canceled in the past 24 months, Neil Gaiman. Um, I just want to mention that before I mention a book he wrote called
American Gods.
like Norse myth or something really straightforward. It's a good book for the Norse gods though, and it paints Loki in a very different light. He's still a complete ass, but very different light.
Yeah, I'll ask you after you ended live stream why was he canceled? Because I have no idea. I think he's I don't keep up with that, but I do like Neil Gaiman. I think he has some cool comic books.
Yeah, Sandman series. I read his work, his fictional nonfiction. Wait, his fictional work. I don't know why he got canceled. I just know he was. Um, but and then what else was I gonna say about the Norse? Probably nothing because there's not much around there that I've seen about it that actually makes me want to learn more, except for the cards. But okay, I think that we're good. And we've been here about well, we started at 12 after, so a little shy of an hour. So for live stream, thank you for joining. Happy Saturday. I loved that today was Norse runes completely. Hopefully you guys did too. And I'm definitely going to be reading from this deck a lot. I might have to have its own event because I think that was a 20-minute read. All right, so for the live streamers, I will say goodbye. Let me just go ahead and end that. And look, I have a tabletop mic and I have to look around. Okay, so I'm going to count to 10 because there's a lag on this before I hit end. Uno. Oops.